It is urgent that you are sheltered if you live in Jacksonville, if you're on the campus of Jacksonville State University.
I want to show you what they've been looking at. This is a metal warehouse that was just next to the campus. You see this? This is steel that was blown over, not just blown over, but bent.
You can see just how high those flames were shooting up into the air. Now at this point, one injury is reported. A firefighter has been injured trying to battle this blaze. They were taken to the hospital, but at this point we do not know the extent of their injuries.
But right now, look at your screen right here. We start with the rescue of a 4-year-old girl, Heidi Todd.
But again, you're looking at more evacuees coming off that boat right now.
Him in, he's not having it. He gets the pedal down and he's out of there.
2 injured, 1 dead in the shooting at the Hoover Galleria.
I'd never seen anything like it. Everyone was just yelling to run.
Look at the actual eye wall coming on shore right here. Wow.
That's the storm surge we were talking about.
You're looking at a roof being blown off right there as a storm chaser was recording that brutal blow. That is.
Roads that once looked like this are now drivable.
We thank ABC 3340 for working for us because it's made a difference and we're actually able to drive our roads now.
Cynthia Gould with our 2-month investigation.
This is Mike Jones running from our camera outside the Shelby County Courthouse in late October. We tried repeatedly to reach Jones about these unpaid bills with a visit to his office in Pelham.
Hello?
A Jefferson County grand jury indicted a former Cooper Green administrator for possession of child pornography. Mark Sussman retired from his job during an ABC 3340 News I-Team investigation. I-Team investigator Brian Pia broke the original story.
He retired from his $92,500 a year job about 2 weeks ago. That's after we started asking questions about why he remained on the job for so long. He avoided our questions by bolting out of the courtroom and down a stairway. 3 months ago, a grand jury indicted Sussman on 6 counts of possession of child pornography. Fired St. Clair Prison Assistant Warden Cedric Specs is accused of improper use of a state cell phone and state car, among other violations. In this exclusive interview, Specs made surprising admissions.
I admitted to everything I did wrong.
You may have a couple just topless, stuff of that nature.
Specs admitted that he stored the explicit photos on an app on his state cell phone. The photo storage app was disguised as a calculator. The maximum penalty is 2 to 20 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Does that scare you?
Well, I tell you what, it doesn't necessarily scare me because if it comes to that, and of course I take all legal action that I have to, there'll be a lot of people doing 2 to 20 years.
State Personnel Board upheld the firing of a St. Clair prison assistant warden. Cedric Specs was accused of having sexual relationships with prison workers and using his state cell phone to sext with them. Landowners reaching out to the ABC 3340 I-Team after they say a company cut thousands of dollars worth of timber from their land and didn't pay for it. The I-Team's Cynthia Gould first broke this story on sexual harassment allegations against lawyer Randy Hames earlier this year. Cynthia, is Hames still practicing law?
Chris, no, the Alabama bar suspended his license in March, we have learned. These cases center around a trailer park and marina that Hames owns and manages in Coleman.
Oh, there's a lot I'd love to say because he's a sick man.
We originally spoke with 3 former tenants who claimed they were harassed. Hames was indicted on criminal charges in May. That included human trafficking and solicitation of prostitution.
Millions of your tax dollars going to pay massive amounts of overtime for Alabama employees. And a few state employees are really raking it in.
In an exclusive I-Team report, we uncovered one corrections department worker making almost as much as the governor because of his overtime.
ABC 3340 I-Team investigator Brian Pia joins us now. And Brian, we're talking about a worker whose base salary is around $40,000 a year.
That's right, Chris. That corrections officer's base pay was a little over $38,000 last year, but he scored a 6-figure paycheck for years. He tops all state employees, all of them, for overtime pay.
And this is video of Tompkins' Facebook page before he took it down during our investigation. Take a close look at the comments on his page. People call him by the nickname Big Money. That includes Carl Sanders, now a retired captain who worked at the St. Clair prison. Sanders is the same person who signed one of Tompkins' performance appraisals. Last year, Tompkins made almost as much as Alabama Governor Kay Ivey.
They need to quickly cut back on this overtime, which is costing the taxpayers at 1.5 times the normal rate.
So, Brian, I understand Bob Horton, the public information manager for the Corrections Department, didn't like you interviewing their chief of staff.
That is right. And Horton called me an unethical reporter for interviewing Chief of Staff Steve Brown about the overtime issue following that graduation ceremony. Keep in mind that Brown is a public official. He agreed to be interviewed about the overtime topic. Meantime, Horton says I'm now banned from all Department of Corrections property, but I can assure you we're going to stay on top of the story, and there is much more to come.
You talked about how unique Oliver is in terms of elected officials who have charges. What is that uniqueness?
That he quickly and humbly admitted his crimes. As I mentioned, most public or elected officials who we've prosecuted or have been prosecuted around the state challenge their crimes and go to a jury and are convicted. But Oliver Robinson had admitted his.
And I was given exclusive access inside the U.S. Navy. And in my series, Alabama the Brave, tonight we go into the water for survival swim lessons. But right now, look at your screen right here. We start with the rescue of a 4-year-old girl. Heidi Todd was carried out of the Riverside Fire Station tonight by the first responders who rescued her.
Now, the little girl was taken from her South Carolina home last night during a home invasion. An alert railroad crew in St. Clair County spotted an unusual car and said something.
Let's watch this video together. You're going to see this motorcyclist right here. The man ended up getting away during this chase on I-65 North as it comes right at you. As they try and box him in, he's not having it. He gets the pedal down and he's out of there. The chase that, according to authorities, reached more than 100 miles per hour. You can see he was weaving right in and out of traffic. Extremely dangerous. Law enforcement still looking for them. If you happen to know who that person is or recognize that bike, you need to call law enforcement immediately.
It's a gun. And I didn't believe it until the teacher came out and said, run, it's a gun.
The first calls come in around 3:30. Shots fired with 2 down.
50 Springville Road at Huffman High School. Medical aid on the gunshot wound. Report that there are 2 patients at this location.
2 teens, 1 male, 1 female, both rushed to the hospital.
The sound of sirens would replace the dismissal bell, and when it was over, a young woman wouldn't be coming home.
It's really, really important that we just take the time to realize a life is lost.
From parents to police officers, there are many questions tonight after a high schooler is killed on campus. Classes at Huffman High School have been canceled for tomorrow. I'm Christopher Sine.
And I'm Brenda LeDunn. We've learned the male student who was injured has now been released from the hospital, and we have confirmed he is being interviewed by detectives right now.
And tonight we have live team coverage for you from the hospital to the scene to the community as well.
Let's start with ABC 3340's Andrew Donnelly, who walks us through what exactly happened. And Andrew, where on campus did this happen?
Well, Brenda, I spoke with officers about an hour ago. They tell me they still don't really know where this happened, although they know it happened inside. A lot of questions surrounding this school shooting. Here are a few of those answers about what happened here today.
My colleague Ariel Clay is on the scene here. She's on the ground on 7th Avenue South. We're going to toss it over to her with resident reaction. Ariel.
And you can just imagine that a fire as intense and massive as the one that these firefighters have been dealing with would only force evacuations for the buildings in this area. That was the case for the Metropolitan Apartments, just 2 buildings away from where this fire started. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see what we're seeing from here on the ground. Now, we know that about 30 residents living inside of the Metropolitan Apartments had to be evacuated. And they were evacuated at around 12:30, and for 3 hours they sat outside watching as fire crews battled those flames that were spreading so close to their own homes.
I'm standing right outside of what is Tri-County DA Greg Grigger's
office, and I'm standing in front of what appears to be his SUV. I'm going to step out of the frame so that you can get a closer look at what's going on here. Now, Grigger serves Greene, Sumter, and Marengo counties. We're learning he was shot in the face by a former state trooper, according to Tri-County DA Michael Jackson.
You're looking at live images right now of the Galleria, where there is a large police presence there. Those reports, as we mentioned, coming within the last 30 minutes. And right now we want to go to Ryan Spann, who is on the phone with us. Ryan was inside the Galleria when the commotion started. Ryan, if you could tell us what it was you heard when you were inside.
Yeah, well, me and a couple of friends we were down by the Sears on that end of the mall, and I thought I heard some loud noises.
Watching Good Morning Alabama on ABC 3340.
Everyone was just yelling to run.
Our youngest son was in the mall at the time.
We heard some, really, disturbing screams from people who had obviously seen something, and they were sprinting. It seemed like they were running for their lives.
And I just heard a couple of shots. Then afterwards, I just saw this avalanche full of people.
And I looked behind me, and she was gone.
Screaming, running, and looking for folks. Screaming, running, and looking for folks. I saw some folks hiding.
And everybody screamed and freaked out. They pushed us in supply closets in Mountain High.
I called my mom, and I just told her, I was like, look, there's nowhere for us to go. Everybody's hiding underneath clothes.
It was very tense. It was silent. Total fear, confusion, everything.
The door's open right here. This is to one of the many shelters here in this portion of Coleman County that are now open. This one in particular here, right near Sportsman's Lake Park, able to hold about 400 people. They've got this door open, and this is literally where people would rush in the event that there was severe weather, particularly a tornado. Right now, just a precaution, again, not trying to make anyone nervous, but there's certainly something that they're prepared for. This all happened once that tornado watch was issued for this area. You see Coleman Police here right now, and we actually have, Chris, if we can pan over, one group right here. They're waiting just in case. They came all the way out here. They've got their car ready. These people right here, though, they were able to get in here in their cars over this overhang here at Grace Chapel, and were able to avoid having their cars damaged. I'm joined by these two right here, and I didn't even introduce myself earlier. I'm Steven, but it's nice seeing y'all. Tell us real quick what it was like when you were out here as that hail, the ones we just showed, started to fall.
Well, it started hailing real small, and then it kept getting bigger. And we pulled under here, and the truck started rocking, and it was just a bad storm. But
This is what the hail did to some of the windshields. And take a look at this car over here next to me. You can see significant damage not only on the windshield, but also you can see just the amount of dents on the hood of this car.
And this has been the main culprit, has been hail, still hours after it fell here. And the damage is really not here on the side. It came from above to the roof here of the Coleman County Jail. But if you take a look inside, you'll see exactly the extent of that damage as it literally went through the insulation of the roof here, causing some damage. We did get a chance to speak to Sheriff Matt Gentry.
In front of me, a red Dodge truck that has been flipped over in the parking lot. The apartments themselves missing walls, windows, and roofs.
Storm that lasted only a few seconds destroyed everything.
open the door. Pulled the door out of my hand. I run out the closet.
Now, ABC 3340 News at 4.
The destruction, the damage, and the quick decisions that may have saved lives.
We're in the basement, we were hiding. And
Tornado terror.
Apparently there was a second one, maybe a third one.
Taking shelter as roofs peel away like wallpaper.
The doors kept opening and closing.
I mean, anywhere you look, there's metal and just insulation, all kinds of stuff.
From the hail damage to the flooding to the tornado aftermath, Alabamians endure a scary night and thankful at first light.
We're going to take this one day at a time. It happens, I hate it, but I'm just glad nobody got hurt.
And we can tell you right now that an EF3 tornado left a path of destruction in Calhoun County. You are looking live right now at the ABC 3340 Sky View at the mess in Jacksonville as residents now must clean up. Good afternoon to you. I'm Christopher Sine. The Weather Authority has crews spread out across portions of Alabama getting a first-hand look at the damage. My colleague Pam Huff is anchoring our coverage from Jacksonville along with Alabama's Chief Meteorologist James Spann. That's where we will also find ABC 3340's Lauren Walsh. Cynthia Gould is in Riddles Bend in Etowah County, and Elizabeth Lane is checking in on storm recovery in Coleman County. First, though, we turn to ABC 3340's Pam Huff and Chief Meteorologist James Spann. Pam and James.
I want to get James's first reaction here to what we are seeing. EF3, you have no problem with accepting that with the damage seen.
Right. And the way these surveys work, Pam, the Weather Service works down the entire path of the tornado. And they're going to have an initial estimate based on the first thing they see. And the first thing they saw this morning was damage consistent with an EF2. Based on what happened about 30 minutes ago and some of the damage they saw near campus, they went to an EF3. And I think that's the right thing to do. Looking at the drone video from the drone we put up here this morning,
yes,
I think most of the damage that you see through some of the campus here is consistent with an EF3.
We interrupt this program for a special report from ABC 3340 News.
I'm Christopher Sign, live in the ABC 3340 newsroom. We continue to follow the breaking news of an active shooter situation at UAB Highlands Hospital. Our live images coming in right now to the newsroom. As you see this, Birmingham police are confirming that so far 2 people have been shot. The suspect is down. A very active scene. Andrew Donnelly just got on the scene there. Andrew, are you connected? Can you hear me right now? As you look live here from our sky camera, the scene is going to be on the left-hand portion of your screen right there. That's going to be the downtown area. It's going to be the south end of the UAB campus.
I did want to show you, you're seeing 1, 2, 3 different layers of crime scene tape here. And we saw the entrance. We see the front lobby earlier. You can see there's another entry point, and that is where they've been staging.
ABC 3340 News starts now with live breaking news.
Radio to all South units, UAB Howard has active shooting inside the hospital.
Shots fired inside a downtown Birmingham hospital.
Active shooter.
Officers race to the scene.
People inside hide.
We have 2 down.
With guns drawn, officers evacuate the wounded.
I need medics on the 2nd floor. I have 1 person still breathing.
Earlier today, there was a sense of calm that was throughout this area of Gulf Shores, despite the fact that thousands are now without power. Many, in fact, were on this very beach that's almost difficult to stand on now.
These are images from inside our sister station, WCTI in New Bern, North Carolina. The staff there was forced to evacuate during the height of the storm as floodwaters swept right into the building. You see that there. And this week, ABC 3340 is stepping up to help our broadcast brothers and sisters in need in eastern North Carolina.
ABC 3340's Lauren Walsh just arrived in the Raleigh-Durham area in North Carolina to help the WCTI team recover.
That's the eye. Panama City is right here. Panama City Beach is right here. Port St. Joe, Cape Sandblast is right here. This is Mexico Beach. This thing came in right about here. Again, Mexico Beach, Panama City Beach, Tyndall Air Force Base. The center, the eye came right over the Air Force Base. There was a point where they could just look up and they could see blue sky. There was no wind at all.
Power outages from this hurricane were expected to be very long and widespread, and those who do not have power, they're asked to be patient as crews work to restore their services, which could take some time.
New information on the secret meeting on the tarmac between former President Bill Clinton and Attorney General Loretta Lynch.
It happened exactly 2 years ago and had a significant effect on the public's perception of the Hillary Clinton email scandal and the election. Both called it a chance encounter, but tonight we're learning it may have been set up through their security teams. I broke the original story, and tonight, new revelations in this ABC 3340 exclusive.
Now, ABC 3340 News at 4.
It is my honor and privilege to announce that Toyota and Mazda have chosen Alabama as the home of their new production plant.
Alabama wins a coveted car manufacturing plant that will bring 4,000 new jobs. It is a big plant and it is a big deal for the state. A good afternoon to you. I'm Christopher Sign. My colleague Pam Huff right there anchoring our coverage from Montgomery regarding the Toyota Mazda plant and this announcement here. We have team coverage for you as well, covering every angle. ABC 3340's Lauren Walsh is in Montgomery as well, breaking down the details of the deal. Stephen Quinn is going to join us momentarily from Huntsville, where the plant will be built. And Elizabeth Lane is in Tuscaloosa County, the home of Alabama's first auto plant. But first, let's go live right now to Pam Huff anchoring the coverage for us in Montgomery. Pam, good afternoon to you. I believe it is safe to say that this is a game changer for Alabama.
It is transformational for the state of Alabama, Chris. You are absolutely correct. This project has a name that probably summarizes that. It's called Project New World. That's the Secretary of Commerce, Greg Canfield. Welcome and congratulations, first of all. This is a really big deal.
Pam, it's a big deal. I mean, 4,000 new jobs, sort of the capstone to the automotive sector. We've got 3 OEMs that are building vehicles in Alabama today. This brings 5 that will have 4 operating facilities building cars in Alabama.
And with the stroke of a bow, these stories are revealed in the faces of men who are fighting to remember. Feinstein has collected about 70 violins from families of Holocaust survivors.
The sky is more than just the limits, it's nothing impossible.
It's just so unique to encounter someone like him of his age. When you see things like Be Like Walter, wish there were more Walters in the world, he's so deserving of all of this.
They were telling me there's nothing else we can do.
They told her that I had a 4% chance to live.
I prayed. I stood there for 2 hours by his bed praying.
I had ran out of things to do, basically. The nurse called me with a set of blood gases that were worse than they had been. I said, well, I'm not sure what else to do. And she said, well, we're not going to let him die, so you need to think of something.
That turning point, making believers out of his doctors, who say there's no science that could explain it.
I would be like throwing up and, sad, watching TV, or watching sports. So when a player came and visited me, I'd be like, they were bigger than life.
A miracle turned new mission.
I just kind of thought about more than 4, helping kids with cancer, fight, not just raising money, but help them fight.
So he got 50 breakfast sandwiches.
You take your family out to dinner, and you can drop $50 going out to dinner. And so it was nothing more than taking my family out to dinner. And so when it came down to a financial side, it was just second nature. I really didn't think about it. I just thought, hey, this would be neat. I bet they'll like this.
I was just so surprised that he did that. I didn't think he was going to do it.
Hey, let's go, baby! Alabama didn't hold back. After 12 months and 14 games, it earned the right to let loose.
The finish that we didn't have last year, it came out. This is what we envisioned when you hear the word finish.
Where the Tide players are just hours away from the biggest game of many of their lives.
That's exactly right, Pam and Brenda. But the Tide has played big games before this year, and they've had big wins, including over Oklahoma and Rhode Island, 2 teams that played earlier today here in Pittsburgh. But they're underdogs against Virginia Tech, who has 21 wins and is from the mighty ACC.
Where in the world is Jeff Spiegel? The answer to that question is Homewood, where the Patriots are playing Chelsea in the Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week. And Jeff, Blitz Game Day is just minutes away.
That's right, Jamie. Blitz Game Day coming up at 6:30 sharp on our sister station, My 68, followed by the Game of the Week. And the Homewood Patriots are on a collision course with Jackson Olin in a possible region title game. Welcome back to Fort Lauderdale, everybody. Earlier today, coaches Saban and Riley met the media one more time before they match wits tomorrow night. And in these playoff games, coaches go deep into the playbook, like the Tides went over Clemson last year when D lineman Deron Payne caught a touchdown pass.
ABC 3340 News starts now with breaking news.
You know about the school shooting in Florida. We'll talk about that in one moment. But right now, look at your screen right here. We start with the rescue of a 4-year-old girl. Heidi Todd was carried out of the Riverside Fire Station tonight by the first responders who rescued her.
Now, the little girl was taken from her South Carolina home last night during a home invasion. An alert railroad crew in St. Clair County spotted an unusual car and said something, leading officers to rescue the little girl.
ABC 3340's Andrew Donnelly is in Riverside for us tonight. Andrew, investigators just announced the man who had her is in custody. But let's start with the girl. How is Heidi tonight?
Heidi, according to officials, is doing just fine. I wanted to get to something Brenda was saying. This all came from a tip. And now we're in the same situation. Officers say the car was in when they found it. It's in the woods. It's hidden along this road. Look here, train tracks. They say workers saw the car, called it in, saved this little girl's life. Taken from her Charleston home after her mother was brutally beaten. Traveling 360 some odd miles from home with a person she didn't know. Mayor Rusty Jessup of Riverside says his first responders received a heartbreaking thank you.
She did tell our fire chief when we were carrying her out of the woods, she told him that she was scared.
Now she's safe heading to meet up with her father. Mayor Jessup says there's not a scratch on her, but she's going to need all the love we can give.
I don't see anything wrong with her. She's safe.
Police Chief Ricky Oliver was the one who helped rescue Todd. He says this was God's work.
This is a blessing. It is nothing to do with luck. Nothing to do with luck.
And I'm not saying it is. You guys do fantastic
The good
work.
Lord put me in the place, as well as the fire chief, that we needed to be to take care of this little girl. His hand was on the little girl.
That's absolutely right. The man police say is behind this is Thomas Lawton Evans. He was arrested less than 2 hours ago in Mississippi. Police tell me he had ditched a car in Georgia, stolen the car he was found in here, and that led to the chase that ended just 2 hours ago. Live in Riverside, Andrew Donnelly, ABC 3340 News.
Thank you. Great work out there, Andrew. And our team coverage of Heidi's rescue and the search for her continues now in South Carolina.
Our Sinclair sister station has been on top of her disappearance since the story broke last night. Bill Burr explains the effort rescuers went through there to locate Heidi.
Be careful because the branches stick out everywhere.
Dive teams began the day with a mission to find evidence in a frightening crime. Whitney Lake became a centerpiece for searching after a mother was found severely beaten inside this house and a little girl taken.
We just cleaned the pond, we walked the area, we just gathered information through elimination.
Investigators didn't know the suspect left the area and the state with 4-year-old Heidi Todd. As authorities looked for answers, people who lived nearby couldn't believe a tragedy like this took place near their home.
I would never dream in 1,000 years that something like this would happen in my neighborhood. I feel very safe here. Sometimes, honestly, I'm too safe.
After an emotionally draining ordeal of watching and worrying, a sense of relief for a Johns Island community as Heidi Todd was found safe, far away from the Lowcountry.
And that was Bill Burr reported. And we do know there is a reward in this case. The FBI was offering $10,000 for information leading to Heidi's recovery. It is unclear tonight if the railroad crew will receive that money. But we can promise you one thing, that's we will continue to stay on top of this developing story. You can find continuing coverage right now online or on our free ABC 3340 mobile app anytime. Boy, so much news happening today and tonight, and we've got to talk about the forecast, though. The radar picking up some green across the state.
So let's help you plan your night and Thursday with Alabama's chief meteorologist, James Spann. James, more rain on the way?
Yeah, this pattern very persistent. We see some risk of rain each day for at least the next 7 days, but not a total washout each day. Tonight we have rain pushing across the northern part of the state, the most widespread rain currently across northeast Alabama, raining in Gadsden, Anniston, Cedar Bluff, Heflin. This will gradually move into Georgia later tonight, and tomorrow we'll have the chance of showers, but they should be very widely spaced. The big news, the mild temperatures tomorrow, highs will likely exceed 70. But again, moisture lingers and a chance of showers into parts of the weekend. We'll talk about that and have the 7-day forecast coming up shortly, so stay with us.
James, we'll see in a few minutes. Meanwhile, new information from Calhoun County we've learned in the last hour. Investigators have upgraded the charges against a man accused of threatening a daycare center. The DA tells us Daniel Turner is now facing a felony charge of making a terrorist threat. Investigators say Turner showed up to Friendship Child Care Center with a gun, but did not make it inside because the owner stood in the way, preventing him from getting inside. Turner did have a protective order out against him and should not have had a firearm at all. He is now in the Calhoun County Jail, and investigators say more charges could be filed relating to his family history. Now, tonight, we're not sure what exactly those additional charges will be, but you know what? If you don't feel safe at home and if you need help, We have the number to the state domestic violence hotline on our screen right there, 24 hours a day, by the way. The suspect in the deadly school shooting in Florida is inside the Broward County Police Department at this moment.
Charges against him have not yet been announced, but tonight we're hearing from the students who were locked in their classrooms and under their desks for hours.
It was terrifying for me. It's a moment that I'll never forget in my life.
For 10th grader Joe Santos and thousands of other students, a typical day at school turned into a tragic lesson he'll always remember. For parents who raced to the school, they could do nothing but wait, only getting texts from their children inside.
That he heard the footsteps of the killer and that he was in the same building and on the same floor as the killer.
Scary, to say the least, and officials say that 17 people were killed today. The state says it will pay for the funerals of those victims. 44 others were injured. Their conditions have not yet been released at this hour.
Unreal. And some of the images coming from inside the school here. We wanted to show you these students taking to Facebook as they heard the shots fired. Oh my gosh, look at some of those tweets there of people reporting the gunshots, people hiding underneath their desks, posting a photo from underneath there, and another video posted by a student. You could also hear the gunshots echoing throughout that area. And with nearly 4 dozen injured in this shooting, there is a need for blood and platelet donors, specifically for O-negative donors. You can find a place to donate at redcross.org.
Hey, by the way, there have been 18 school shootings this year. 2 of them resulted in mass casualties. Today's shooting in Florida and the January 23rd shooting in Benton, Kentucky. Of the other 16 shootings, 2 have been suicides. 1 was on a college campus, and in 8 others, a gun was fired, but no one was hurt.
And a Pennsylvania mayor has harsh words for a suspect accused of shooting a man holding a 1-year-old.
But when you're just randomly shooting up places, my God, you're going straight to hell.
The mayor of York posted a message to his Facebook page Tuesday following the first homicide in the city since he took office in January. In addition to his strong words for the suspect, Mayor Michael Heffrich also offered support to the families and people caught up in the violence. He says they can come to his office and find help with things like job training, even food and diapers for their families.
New at 10, Alabama law enforcement is taking a stand against cybercrime. The Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall announced today they're launching a cybercrime lab with state and federal authorities. Now, Marshall says the lab will use cutting-edge tools to investigate cybercrimes like online sexual exploitation, human trafficking, even data breaches.
What we don't want is to be able to be where Alabama's been over the last several years, is not having a facility for local law enforcement to be able to reach out and get help. And we want to be able to serve that void, which is absolutely essential in us making sure that we have public safety in Alabama.
Marshall says cybercrime agents investigated cases with more than 30 agencies in 2017.
Also new at 10, the sentencing for former Jefferson County District Attorney Charles Todd Henderson pushed back for a second time. Henderson was convicted of perjury in October. He was supposed to face a judge tomorrow, but now will wait until March 8th. Prosecutors have recommended a 2-year sentence with 6 months to be served in prison.
New developments in the fight against the Zika virus. A clinical trial for a vaccine is now underway in Texas. We told you about this vaccine last October, but since then, doctors have been struggling to find people willing to test it. And the high number of flu cases is also limiting the number of people who can participate.
Potential enrollees get a flu vaccine, we can't enroll them. So when this time of flu is very common, more people will be getting vaccine.
Doctors say this Zika vaccine is harmless and does not contain the live virus. Only on ABC 3340, 2 unique jobs with one goal.
We're taking you where cameras are rarely allowed on the USS Lincoln, inside the Navy, highlighting our heroes. Alabamians protecting our families. You've got to meet them. That's next.
Rain amounts relatively light across Alabama today. These are reports with our sky watchers, everybody under 1/4 inch. Tomorrow, showers widely scattered, but some rain chances will linger into the weekend. I've got the 7-day forecast and much more coming up as ABC 3340 News at 10 o'clock continues.
If you're on a diet, dropping those pounds is just the first step.
Thursday, strategies to keep the weight off. breaking news, plus traffic and weather together every 10 minutes. Good Morning Alabama, 4:30 to 7 on ABC 3340. You're watching ABC 3340, the station working for you. With Brenda LaDunn and Christopher Sine. The Weather Authority forecast with Chief Meteorologist James Spann. And Jeff Spiegel with sports. ABC 3340 News at 10 continues.
Hey, it's not often you're invited to land on an aircraft carrier, but ABC 3340 got the unique opportunity.
Yes, and I am using the opportunity to show our appreciation, highlighting the men and women who protect us. Tonight, we're going behind the scenes. This is Alabama the Brave.
These are real life explosives, you know?
It can be a little intense sometimes.
It's a city that never sleeps. After a bit of training, ABC 3340 was granted access to land on the USS Lincoln. Hundreds of miles off the coast, the aircraft carrier is nearly 1,100 feet long, 200 feet tall. One anchor weighs the equivalent of 11 Suburbans, not including the chain. But it's the people that keep it moving, protecting us.
Anthony Lewis, I'm from Casada, Alabama.
Kevin Spakes in Fort Deposit, Alabama.
Alabamians playing critical roles. As aircraft land, Anthony is below the flight deck.
We mainly handle a lot of the aircraft that come down for maintenance and different type of procedures that goes on.
Anthony controls this massive space. It's this area where aircraft are chained down. Obviously, the ship can sway and most often worked on or prepped, and maneuvering them is no simple task. That's where Anthony's expertise takes over. But his job is twofold. Here, they also train for the worst. In fact, it takes extensive training to protect each other and the ship.
We also specialize in fighting fires. If a fuel station fire, something breaks out, we need to be there to be the first responders to the fire.
As for the aircraft, from moving, adjusting, parking, locking down, it all takes precision guidance.
I love my job. I love everything about it. So I'm always happy. They call me Happy Lewis here.
Depending what's happening and landing, this area could be full. It's not just the fighters that come in for landing after those touch and goes and landings. This is a cod that can transport goods and people to the boat, and here it comes in right now for a landing.
Soon it will be filled with many aircraft. It's just like a puzzle, and you just have to put it in the hangar bay and piece it together.
Above Anthony, there's Kevin. His crew wears the green vests.
I work on the catapults. We have 4. The catapults are the releasing. They build up steam. It's 2 big metal pistons that sit below the flight deck.
Without these catapults, they couldn't take off very well, could they?
No, sir.
Exactly, so they need people like you, don't they?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Kevin gets closer than anyone to the jets as they leave the ship.
This is the F-18 Hornet, and we deal with these a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of used to it.
You having fun?
Yes, sir. It's a nice atmosphere. Everyone's willing to help each other.
Oh, I'm like a little kid up here.
I take it for granted every day, pretty much. I try not to.
Both men smile a lot. Both are proud of what they do, and both men miss Alabama. But they know their jobs are critical.
It allows my family to sleep at night and everybody else's family to sleep at night.
A destination, I don't know where we're going, but just
you don't know where you're going?
No.
They may not know where they're going, but they know what they're doing and where they're from. Proud Alabamians protecting us. In case you were wondering, both men love their job, by the way. They say they also miss Alabama hospitality and watching college football here at home. We certainly thank them and their families as well. And tomorrow night, I'm taking you inside the rescued choppers. And I got to tell you, it's pretty cool, and it's with a Pell City man. Out there in the middle of the Atlantic, James, rain or shine, those things are still flying. But I got to tell you, it was nasty out there a couple days.
I bet you had some pretty rough weather.
It was.
You're a tough guy.
My stomach held up.
Got to catch up with my hellos. Had the busy news day today, so I want to shout out to my friends at Gardendale Elementary School. Did you guys see the cake today?
Oh, yes.
Outstanding.
Wow. That was just slightly awesome. And I saw the second graders today, and they were awesome. Now, what we do, we often take these individual class photographs. First off, the angelic faces, and then the silly faces.
Oh.
Notice that you got to know how to get in on that, okay? So with our cloud cover, had to go out of state for some nice images here. This was the sunrise this morning from the Shenandoah National Park in Virginia. That was just gorgeous. And in contrast, this was the sunrise this morning over Lake Michigan. Frozen solid. And that cold air is going to stay bottled up north. Down here, the weather looking mild for a while. Onto our Skycam network tonight, downtown Jasper. The rain pretty much has ended. They're sitting at 62. The dew point very high at 60. What's the weather going to do this weekend? That's the big question. Well, Saturday, you'll have to dodge a few passing rain showers. Not going to rain all day, not that big deluge like we had this past Saturday, the high around 63. Sunday, only isolated showers. I think a decent part of the day Sunday will be dry, but again, the sky mostly cloudy. Sunday's high in the middle 60s, around 66. We have 60s on the board now. Birmingham at 62, Anniston 60, Tuscaloosa 65. A good chance we'll see 70s tomorrow. Still raining in parts of northeast Alabama. Rain falling in places like Rainbow City, Sacs, Cedar Bluff, and Heflin. All of this rain will gradually push off into Georgia later this evening. And overnight, we'll see some patchy fog, but the chance of showers after midnight looking relatively small. Tomorrow will be a very mild day, but the chance of rain fairly small, and there could be a few breaks in the overcast. So if you're lucky, you might see a glimpse of the sun a time or two. High should be up in the low 70s tomorrow. Then for Friday, a surface boundary coming in from the north. We'll see an increase in showers. Not going to rain all day, but a few passing showers. Pretty much the same deal Saturday with that front stalling out just north of here, up near the Tennessee state line. And really nothing to sweep out the moisture. The sky will be cloudy for a while. Rain amounts lighter down to the south, about 1 inch for the north central part of the state, 2 inches possible over the Tennessee Valley. Those are rain totals for the next 5 days. Our forecast for tonight, the sky mostly cloudy. Rain over East Alabama, pushing off into Georgia fairly soon. The overnight low 61. For tomorrow, a high of 72, mostly cloudy with only isolated showers. And again, you might see a few peaks of sunshine during the day. Up on the 7-day, a few passing rain showers likely on Friday and Saturday, then only widely scattered showers Sunday. Next week, very mild, 70s likely on Monday and Tuesday, with a chance of scattered rain showers, and the sky will stay mostly cloudy. Tomorrow morning, catch my forecast with the Rick and Bubba Show on Birmingham's 104.7 WZZK. You might see a little sun tomorrow, but the basic idea looks kind of locked in for cloudy weather for a while, so just get used to it.
Yeah, we'll get used to it. We'll find sun somewhere.
That's right. We got Mr. Sunshine here.
Mr. Sunshine.
That's right. Thank you, James. Hey, today, Valentine's Day, all about the love, right? But for one couple, it's extra special.
We'll explain why this day has two meanings and their secret to keeping the love alive. Valentine's Day is almost over, but it was a really special day. There we go. That's the correct video there for an Indiana couple. Palmer and Norma Haneybutt got married on February 14th, 1941. That means this Valentine's Day marked their 77th wedding anniversary.
Wow. And not only that, it's also Palmer's 100th birthday. Happy birthday. The couple says their secret to a long marriage and staying young is dancing.
Yeah, cutting a rug right there.
There they're showing us. That's amazing. He's 100 and he's dancing.
I love it. Even Jeff Spiegel's over there smiling, wanting to groove with the couple, right?
I'm not sure I'm going to make it to 100, but that's pretty cool. All right, coming up next in sports, we'll hear from Danica Patrick's ex, who is a Daytona 500 favorite. And it was a case of role reversal at Auburn Arena. The Auburn Tigers trying to avoid the upset by Kentucky. Yeah, that sounds weird.
We have breaking news coming in right now to the ABC 3340 newsroom. Getting word of a large motel fire. This is in Calera. We don't know if anybody has been injured or if the motel is occupied.
We do have a crew headed to the scene. By the way, it is the Motel 6 and it is on Highway 25, off of Highway 25. And we will bring you more information as soon as we learn it, and we will pass it along to you.
Now, the Pepsi Sports Desk with Jeff Spiegel.
Tuesday, we told you Tulane assistant Kevin Peoples was a target for Nick Saban as he looks for a D-line coach to replace Carl Dunbar. Today, BamaOnline.com reports Peoples was in Tuscaloosa today and interviewed for that job. This is the kind of year it is in the SEC. Kentucky has lost 3 in a row. The Cats are unranked. Auburn's 22-3, ranked 10th in the nation, and 10-point favorites to win tonight. A team effort at Auburn Arena. The football players providing some depth to the dance team. Second half, Jared Harper with a drive, bucket, and the foul. Tigers up 47-41. The Cats came back to take the lead, and then here comes Auburn. Bryce Brown. Auburn back in front, 60-59. Harper and Brown led the way with 18 each. And then Harper to Anthony McLemore for the alley-oop, 2 of his 13. And then Mustafa Harrim blowing by Kevin Knox. Auburn closes on a 20-7 run, and the Tigers win it, 76-66. Well, here's how far Alabama and Auburn basketball have come. There's a player from each team on the Naismith Award list of finalists. Auburn's Bryce Brown is the Tigers' leading scorer. Alabama's Colin Sexton directs the Tide offense. Only one other SEC player on that list of 30, and that is Kentucky's Kevin Knox. Andy Kennedy says Ole Miss basketball is the worst he's seen in the 392 games he's coached there. Monday, Kennedy stepped down effective at season's end. Tuesday, the Rebs lost by 11 to Arkansas, and Andy thinks his players have quit on him.
If you say, hey man, you know, my coach is gone and the season has been a disappointment, you know, I don't even want to represent Ole Miss anymore. Maybe you say that. These are 18 to 20-year-old kids. But you can't play with pride for your name, your family's name. You can't play for that.
The Daytona 500 is Sunday. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is a favorite. He won at Daytona and Dago last year. Today was the first Valentine's Day in 5 years that Stenhouse and Danica Patrick were not a couple. They split in December. Danica's moved on to Aaron Rodgers. Today, Ricky told me he's doing okay.
It was a good 5 years. I think it's you know, things that everybody goes through, and sometimes they don't end up always working out. But I think, you know, we had a good time, and you know, for me, I think it's going to put me back focusing on racing a lot more, and I'm ready to do that.
Tomorrow in Huntsville, the state wrestling championships get underway. The familiar faces are there. Thompson, Oxford, Gardendale, Vestavia Hill is back in the hunt. Fultondale is sending 4, including James Adam Smith at 160. The senior is making his first trip to state after dealing with a shoulder injury the last 2 years. But Adam Smith has been waiting even longer. His first wrestling coach made state his top priority.
Something our coach would always say is, look at the numbers on the wall. Those are all the state champions. Go and touch where you want to be. What weight class are you going to be? You know, what are you going to leave behind? And from today, I guess I'd say I go all the way back to 7th grade, those practices saying, look, I'm here.
Hey, before we go, a little college softball. JSU hosting Samford in the 4th. JSU trailing 2-1. Anna Chisholm to the deepest part of the park and over that wall. That tied the game. Then in the 5th, Taylor Bashirs to right. That's gone. JSU wins it 3-2. And James will be right back with a final check on your forecast.
Updating you on that breaking news, some of the first images we're getting in here. James, thanks for helping us tell the story here on this breaking news. This is a large motel fire out of Calera.
Yeah, you can see the huge plumes of smoke and the fire in the sky right there. It is in Calera. It's at Motel 6. Crews are on the scene. Fire crews have responded. They are on the scene. We have a crew on the scene as well, and it is off of Highway 25, and we will bring you more information as it becomes available. And just a quick word on the weather, James.
Clouds and showers, you know the story. There you go.
Okay, that's pretty quick.
Yep.
Thank you, and that's all the time we have for now.